Hello, and welcome to the Loose Butthole Reviews. I am your host, Smokey, and joining with me, as always, is my co-host, Spooge.
Greetings.
Oh, and this is a special review. We get to welcome a new host to the fucking Loose Butthole Reviews, Murda. This is your 5th review.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit, salutations.
So you're now a host. Oh, and joining with us is the special guest, Starfish, which probably won't be a special guest next time.
Oh, I'm still
Oh.
special.
Just one away. You missed that
Yeah.
Goofy movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
did. Sure did. I wish I
How
could have
dare
seen
you?
it. I've never seen that one before.
That's why.
Alright, so as before we get into the review proper, I gotta give our 3 rules. First rule is our rating must be a 5 out of 5. 1 being we hate it, 5 being we love it. Rule number 2, if we want our money back, we give it a good old Jeff Goldblum. And rule number 3, if everybody that's doing the review agrees that it deserves a 6 out of 5, a God tier, it will get a God tier. And today we are reviewing Wizards from 1977 by Ralph Batsky. Batsky, I will
Yeah.
fuck that last
Bakshi.
name up.
Bakshi.
I will fuck it up.
Bakshi.
You're putting too much effort into it.
That and I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Tone it
avoid
down.
pointing. I'm also avoiding putting an R into it because I want to say Barsky.
Barsky boy.
Barsky and Butch.
So yeah, I'm gonna be fucking that name up a lot.
Alright, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, this came out in 1977, and oh, it's kid.
And,
This is-
So this film's really notable for being the first fantasy film by Bakshi. Previous to these films, he was only really known for Fritz the Cat, Heavy Traffic, and a word I'm not sure I'm allowed to say on YouTube.
Oh yeah, we're
Oh,
not.
yes.
Nope.
So wait,
Yeah,
so
We're
this
not
is
saying
his
the
fourth.
title to that.
This is his fourth movie.
This is his 4th entry. This film
Ooh,
had
secret
a
is-
$2 million budget, and it grossed $9 million theatrically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did
So
better-
almost,
I don't know.
almost 5
This-
times more than
Most-
what they spent on it.
And I don't have nothing here. I got
it's
some
classified.
facts in front of me.
I can tell you it's classified as an art house film, so that's probably why it's so most art house films are actually extremely successful because it turns out if you just go for like a niche target audience, turns out you attract other people, and other people are like, oh, what's this about? And it's like, oh, I got to get into this thing, and that's what all art house films are usually about. Is
Well,
instead
it,
of
it deserves that. It deserves to be an art house film.
oh, yeah,
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, but one of the things that makes it art house is the fact that no pencil tests were done for this at all.
Oh,
It was
wow.
it was drawn and straight to final
And
product.
jeez, that's a
That-
lot of pressure.
That is actually very noticeable, though, because most scenes there's
That's
no
what I actually
animation
love about it.
whatsoever. Most scenes are
The
just
backgrounds
like
are so-
storybook.
But that's like why the backgrounds are so detailed like that too. Or so I mean, I don't know. I feel like you couldn't get that, if you.
No,
No,
exactly.
no.
That's what gave it that edge.
I mean, I
Mhm.
will say, this movie is definitely like I consider it a cult classic.
Oh, definitely.
I think like to people who know of this film, it's it ranks fairly high for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But,
I
It was,
completely understand that.
he
I'm
was-
fucking
and
so
it-
goddamn
it-
conflicted.
Also, it's
Yeah, I was
this
gonna-
was his.
I was
go
gonna
on.
say that too. This is gonna be, I think, the hardest rating, like the hardest movie to rate that I've seen so far. Because I don't know, I really like it, but also there's so many glaring problems.
It's definitely something just with like how Ralph Bakshi's mind works. I mean, he's just a weird guy.
I mean,
like
he-
this was the
Yeah.
fact that this was his attempt that he was going for a younger audience. Like he was like, oh, I want it to be a fantasy that everyone can enjoy, like adult and kids. Like this was his, like what Jim Henson wanted with Dark Crystal, except like this is.
Which unfortunately with Ralph, I don't think he can do it. I think
He
because
can't, he can't, he can't.
he
Well,
did
Like
Fritz the cat. He did Fritz the cat, and
maybe not at this age though, because how young was
and
he
Fritz the cat
when he
was
made this?
Fritz the cat. So
I'm gonna look
I
this up.
like Fritz the cat, but
77. How old is
it's
he?
not something I can suggest.
Bakshi.
so this film actually has a interesting tale behind it, in terms of like the family picture stuff. So Bakshi's always like enjoyed fantasy and had been drawing fantasy artwork styles like since 1955 when he was still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
30s.
and this actually originated as a concept for an unproduced television series that he pitched to CBS in
Oh.
1967. Um, in 76, he then tried to do the same. He did the same thing with Fox, but he returned to a lot of the drawings he made in high school, because he was really trying to prove that despite like, Fritz the cat, what's the other one, Heavy Traffic, and all those kind of films, like he wanted to be like, look, no, I can make a family picture, that has just as much impact as, I mean, Fritz the cat even to this day is an X-rated film.
Yeah.
I don't know about Heavy Traffic, but I'm pretty sure the third one that I can't say on this platform is also an X-rated film.
Yeah.
um so he leans really heavily into like, uh, you know, cartoon characters, uh, being sexy and also caricatures, frequently,
Hmm. Yeah.
in sometimes the worst possible way.
Oh yeah, yeah. Which it's weird because like it's not like in a hateful way, but it's definitely in an ignorant and artist like it's for the sake of art, but it's definitely ignorant and very it's still very problematic.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
We do have to point out though that he he kind of somehow earned a pass from at least the Wu Tang Clan. We gotta we
Yeah.
gotta say that. Gotta
That
make
Not
that.
not not for
that
Like
goes that
they
goes as
love
far as
to
the Wu
the
Tang
film.
Clan, you know.
Yeah, the film that we
yeah.
can't really talk about. They actually endorse that film quite heavily, and
Mhm.
that is why they Wu Tang Clan is the reason
Well,
why I watched Fritz the Cat, and
mhm,
the I ain't seen the one. I didn't even know it existed, but they
mhm.
also endorse that one as well.
Yeah, but and fun fact about the one we can't say too is like when it was the trailer was out and when it was about to hit theaters, it was being it was protested heavily by like the like a lot of civil rights too, which was back she didn't like
Also, just for everybody listening, not this film. They're talking about the film that we can't say the name
yeah
of.
the
Yeah,
film
yeah.
that we can't say yes and so it got like a lot of like there's a lot of like white supremacist type of people that kind of got interested in when they watched it in the theaters they were angry because of the message of it
Oh yeah, yeah.
was not what it seemed it
Yeah,
was
he
pretty
definitely
much the
tricked
message of it it's
people.
pretty much of like how America just like is a poison to black people
Yeah.
is the general message of it like how the
But
American like system like kills them.
yeah, and ultimately, that's what Bakshi's known for. And you can get a good sense of that. This being his, fourth, uh, I believe it all animated films. So he had all of that kind of power behind him. Um, this film really leans into moral ambiguities. um, there's a lot to be said of like symbolism that works, symbolism that's
Mhm.
confusing, and symbolism that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
also tries to kind of like play adjacently to like how like World War II and like the rise of Nazi power like started too. It's just kind of like playing on
Oh,
that, like
are
with
we
yeah.
getting into it? are we
Yeah, so
are we
so
finally
so
getting
before so
into it?
before yeah, so before we get into that, he's actually come out and said um, that he was really trying to show that the secret weapon, like sure, technology and destruction of people that you live alongside is like never good, but the actual like worst part about all of that is the propaganda. That's like
Mhm.
what he's trying to say about all of the Nazi stuff that is in this film. Is that like yes, the destruction is horrible and terrifying and brutal, um, but what really destroys people is the propaganda.
Mhm.
That's why Black Wolf's secret weapon is like one of the last recorded films. But we can get more into that when we get into the plot a little bit.
Mhm. Yes, yes, yes.
I think Smokey had something he wanted to quote unquote
Yes.
get into,
Yeah,
or do you
that
want to
we.
save it for when we get through the plot?
I mean, that it's something we kind of gotta tackle before we get into the. There is some imagery that is used here that, I'm not sure if I'm the one that can, because if I'm not mistaken, me and Spooge have the same nitpick. It's just I can't explain it well. I'm just not explaining it right. I feel so.
Hmm.
I'm gonna let Spooge try to. If we've already discussed about it. You know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, passing the buck.
There is
Well,
some heavy usage of some
of
imagery.
Nazi imagery.
Yes,
Yes,
Nazi
the
imagery.
swastikas. Like full on. Like, I mean, there's even. I mean, what? There's a lot of like things that
There's
you could
straight
say
up
are
just
still
Nazi
even.
propaganda being played in the background at certain
Yeah, and that
intervals.
and it sort of is for it is sort of
It is,
for an aesthetic.
yeah.
You could say that it's definitely distasteful. Even if it comes with good intentions, it's definitely distasteful. It's still like it. I could kind of compare it to, though I think it's not exactly comparable, but in the same vein of like Susie and the Banshees when they like sported the the armbands, you know.
Yes, yes.
It's like he's definitely using it for a shock factor, and and I think what you were saying before, because I know what you're saying is that you didn't think it was necessary. You think the message could have just been used as like, oh, war footage, it could have been just like war
Yeah,
was, but I
it,
don't think it would have worked with
I
that because I mean the message
see.
is that the propaganda itself is
Yeah,
the
I get that, but you could also just use war propaganda if you didn't have to exactly
mm,
use that kind of. You could even fucking had. It was a good chance to actually tackle fucking America and use America war propaganda, fucking war bond shit and like that.
but I get
And
what you mean because it's
I
like
also
with
have another. I also have another.
Slayer, like it can
Yeah,
fall in those lines.
I also have
Yeah.
another aspect to it. I brought up this is not. I actually have thought about it. I wish there was 2 extra cuts done to this. One
Hmm.
called the safe trip cut because I want to trip to this so bad, but that even if it was replaced with like heavy war imagery, Spooge already said it, like that would kind of kill my buzz. So if there was like something
Oh
that we
yeah,
could just
oh yeah. You were saying like
replace.
people dying on screen. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would kill
yeah,
my buzz more than the
yeah,
swastikas.
exactly. Fucking. So if we can just we just have to remove 4 red lines. We just have to remove 4 red lines on one scene to make a
Mhm.
little red X on the ground. That so I ain't gotta encounter that.
So that's to simplify it. We'll say that the content can be triggering, and like
Yeah,
also
it true.
even if it means well, there's always going to be those kids out there
And there's one flag.
who are unapologetically Nazis, and even though they know that this isn't a for Nazi thing, they're going to be attracted to the Nazi
Yes, I
imagery.
mean this is
Yeah.
this is definitely an anti-Nazi movie.
Mm.
Yeah. And in fact, actually says something about
Oh, but I'm
that.
not done. I'm not done.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I'm being
Go
forced
ahead.
to move on. But yeah, there's a flag. They just need to put a pentagram on that, and just replace the footage was something else. I don't know what. And then there's the god tier. There's the god tier cut. We can keep the swastikas if you absolutely think. I don't think the swastikas are fucking necessary. I do not fucking think the swastikas are necessary. I think we could totally do away with them and just replace it with people fucking actually dying and like just a random war propaganda around the world. Just so instead of just war propaganda being projected on the battlefield, he's also projecting the horrors of war fucking on the battlefield as well. Because that it would work. It would work.
But it wouldn't
Yeah,
be
And
the
I
same movie.
it
the
definitely would
reason
work.
the reason why it would make it god tier, I could actually suggest fucking people watch it. That is my problem with this
Yeah.
fucking. I cannot suggest people go watch this. Unfortunately, I have. That is, it's. I'm so fucking torn on this movie. I hate movies like this. It's like, it's so fucking good, but you gotta be into movies. You gotta be into movies. You gotta be into films for me to suggest go watch this because you'll get it. The mass majority audience, especially today's mass majority audience, is not gonna fucking understand this whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a product of its time. In the what is it? In the late 70s, um, something was happening like with Israel actually, and that's actually what Bakshi states and why there is so much you know Nazi imagery going on in the background. And I'm going to quote him here. He actually states that this film is about the creation of the state of Israel and the Holocaust that they suffered, and about how the Jews were looking for a homeland, and also in 77 about the fact that fascism was on the rise again. Um, which like I'm not gonna like delve super deep into like Israel Palestine stuff or anything like that. I think that's also extremely controversial. Um,
Hmm.
but that's why he uses so much Nazi imagery is for the like when he's referencing the fairies and the elves and all of the different like magical races and stuff. It's really more saying like the Jews are looking for their homeland essentially. um but yeah, I will also agree to that point as well, is that like I don't recommend this film to just anybody. I would have to have known you for a while and know that that like you can watch this and not be like, dude, seriously, why would you watch this?
Yeah.
um
I
because
agree with that.
it's very it's a lot, um both in terms of like sound, imagery, um artwork, plot, narrative, um symbolism again. And I would like to just touch on that like one last time, and then we can move on to the plot if no one else has anything.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
but when the symbology works, it's ham-fisted. It's beating you over the head with like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, this is exactly like this is exactly like this. And then when it doesn't work, it's just kind of like, well, why? Like, why is this the course that you took? It seems vague and nonsensical at times, in terms of symbology.
I think I will say like I mean it is controversial, but I think the imagery in this movie for me like kind of puts it over the edge into like an effective horror almost,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, that's
if
what
it
I
was
thought.
Yeah.
like just fantasy violence, I wouldn't have gotten that same darkness. Like this movie is very dark
Hmm.
and
Oh
heavy
yeah.
Absolutely.
with very light parts at the same time, like
The
light
contrast.
frivolous plot and like characters in contrast to like the extreme darkness. So I think it was pretty effective. I can't really say, what's right to use and what's not, but I think it was at least very effective.
Yes, I strongly agree with that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, it is very effective.
I definitely wouldn't have gotten like as much of a, I don't know. I don't think maybe it would be as good. I don't know,
Goosebumps,
but yes. The
like
darkness hit. Yeah.
just like especially, and I know, we'll get into the plot because I'll cut in when we get to the scenes, you know.
Okay, and with that, we'll set the stage. Earth has been devastated by man made nuclear war, and it takes over 2 million years for the radioactive clouds to allow any sunlight in. Any humans who had survived the apocalypse have been transformed into the mutants, while humanity's true ancestors, the fairies, elves, and dwarfs of the world, resurface and live in the idyllic land of Montagar.
The good areas.
Yes, and I will say, I mean, as well as maybe representing, the or Jewish people finding a home. I mean, he did use these a lot of these races as like other races in the same situation. I mean, the
Absolutely.
elves are definitely like a representation of indigenous American people.
Yeah,
Mm.
totally. And I will say, like, probably like the fairies are like closest to Jewish,
Mm.
perhaps. I don't know. It's kind of hard, and also we don't really get to see, like, I don't recall seeing any dwarfs really, but they're there.
Yeah,
There's a
that's.
couple there's a couple. I mean, yeah, that
I'm going to assume there was a that was what about those priests? What were they?
the
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 priests. What?
priests.
Yeah, weren't they dwarves?
Well, oh, they
I
might be
know I'm jumping
actually.
ahead. I know I'm jumping
They
ahead,
had
but
It's all right.
they were kind of modeled almost at they had like the same nose and structure as a avatar, so they're kind of
Avatar
like
seemed like a
wizardy.
dwarf to me too, though. To be honest,
Well, he
I
was
know he
just
was.
supposed to be a
No, he's.
what?
Oh, go,
He's
go,
the
go
son
ahead,
of the
Murda.
fairy queen.
He's a
Yeah, I know
wizard.
he's
Yeah.
yes, just wizard. But I mean, they
Yeah,
were both
it's
wizards, so
they
I
were
mean,
born wizards.
Yep.
yes,
I
but
guess
one was a mutant.
in the way like D&D, like sorcerers are like people who are born with magic ingrained.
It just
Um.
I might upset a certain individual when I state this, but if we are going on the height
Because Black
requirement,
Wolf is his
if we
twin.
are going on the height requirement,
I guess technically,
Avatar
yes,
is a
he's.
dwarf.
Yes, I guess technically, yes, he's a dwarf. But I saw the priests more as like for some reason I saw them more as like the Catholic Church of just kind of like how submissive and in the way like of the self-flagellation, that they were doing. Is that's a very Christian thing.
Yeah. So I think with that, really more it was just a, like, here is all of the Abrahamic religions
Mm,
combined into, two dwarf
mm.
like
And I'll explain
humanoids.
more why I thought was because they go up there and they kind of like go like aggressively to get the blessings, kind of uh, Hitler would, like try to get the church to endorse him, by force,
Hey,
Right,
but
and
Uh,
that's
let's
also something with that scene too, is that they give them the
how
most amount of time.
mhm,
Whenever the war machine is rolling, they basically just obliterated anything within their path. But when they get to the church, with the two dwarf-like creatures, they're like, well, we have to pray to our God first. Like, surely you'll let us pray to God first, and then, you know, they get like 6 hour or 5 hours, I think, or something like that,
mhm.
before they actually just like, okay, I'm done with you now.
Mhm.
which I think is
Yeah.
kind of, again, Ralph Bakshi being a little bit both ham-fisted and vague in the fact of like, oh yeah, the Nazis used religion as a weapon, but then also just threw it away when it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
That.
know, I did it. I know I'm the one that got us here, but let's dial it back. We jumped too forward. We jumped forward in the plot.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start the plot.
All right. So the Earth has been destroyed. It's
Mhm.
over 2 million years later. Fairies, elves, and dwarfs walk the land. Um, there has been 3,000 years of peace under the Queen of Fairies, Delia. Um, she
Which, how is
is.
it? Oh, what? This is before Black Wolf. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got
This.
confused
This
for
is
a
their
All
second.
mother.
right.
I'm performing time crime. My
This is
bad.
the mom. You time crimed.
All right. All right. So Delia is not seen with a king or a prince or, the pool boy or anybody, because she falls into a trance, and that trance is what gives birth to twin wizards. The kind hearted Avatar, the primary protagonist of the film, and his evil mutated brother, Black Wolf. After Delia dies years later, Black Wolf attempts to usurp her kingdom, or queendom, um, but Avatar defeats him. Black Wolf leaves Montagar, vowing to return and make this a planet where mutants rule the land. 3,000 years later, so just so we can keep track of this, 1977, bam, 2 million years later. 3,000 years of peace after that 2 million years. 3,000 years after that, so we are 2
Lots
million,
of
six
time
thousand
jumps.
years later. Yep.
Mhm.
Black Wolf leads
Oh,
the
and
dark
I
land of the Scorch.
I gotta
Um,
add. I gotta add. I strongly wish I could like Black Wolf. I want to. I wish I could like Black
what?
Wolf so bad. I want to like him so bad.
I
But
mean, he's
oh,
got
he's
cool
got it.
arms.
Oh, but he's got to be a Nazi.
Yeah, pretty much.
it,
That's how I
So,
feel about most black metal artists. Like, god
yeah,
damn it.
I mean, I had a question. I had a very questionable friend that got a very questionable tattoo in high school. So that probably explains a lot. It's like, oh, I like you, but as soon as that tattoo got revealed, I was like, man.
I mean, you're talking to
Well,
somebody that grew up in the punk scene, man. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
it's, you know,
he did. I'm
I don't
going to.
suffer that shit.
He seemed to have done it more for the shock factor value, but it was hard to. It's hard for me to fucking say because he wasn't all up in anybody's shit or anything, and he didn't seem like a Nazi. But oh,
I think
I
I don't
Well,
don't
know
know.
if
he's
you're willing
not.
to if you're willing to tattoo that on your body though.
Yeah,
Casual
Yeah.
Nazi.
yeah. Um, I'm hopefully these days it's a window pane. Um, So, let's see. Oh, yeah. Black Wolf leads the dark, twisted lands of the Scorch. That is where the army of mutants and all other evil creatures live. That's orcs, goblins, trolls, satyrs, dragons, you name it.
All the cool
Um,
shit.
Mutants!
All the
yep,
fucking cool shit. And he wrote and it
Hey,
like
fairies are cool.
yeah, the true.
fairies are cool.
But I just want to point out the goddamn Nazi had to take all the cool shit.
They did have
Yeah, when the
some
elves had the
cool
guns, that
shit.
was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I liked all the frog and lizard people.
Hmm. They're too dumb, though. They didn't know
They
what they're
they
getting
don't know
into.
what's going on.
Mhm.
No, they just
uh,
trying to live their life.
They follow their blind violence.
pretty much. Kind of. They're kind of like cats, I guess, in a way, right?
They don't
You
have an
know.
undumbla oblongata.
Yeah, yeah. So, this rolls by very, very quickly. Pacing is an issue in this film.
Pacing is
Um,
wild as fuck.
but during the slow intro ish kind of thing, about the time where you're starting to kind of like forget what they're saying and stuff. He actually tried to attack Montagar twice since becoming the king of the Scorch, um, but it's foiled because his mutant army gets bored or sidetracked in the middle of battle. However, Black Wolf
Scared.
discovers
They're yeller.
yeah. Um, Black Wolf discovers an old projector and reels of Nazi propaganda footage from World War II. He uses his magic to enhance it for psychological warfare, inspiring his own soldiers with the propaganda while horrifying enemy troops into submission.
And that's when I gotta go. Oh, what's that door? I kind of gotta leave now, Black Wolf. you, you got a nice castle. You got some nice robots, but I'm out.
And so we see, let's see, we then go back to Montagar, where Avatar is training the president's daughter, Eleanor, to become a full-fledged fairy.
So let's talk about Eleanor.
Does anyone want to touch Eleanor?
Well, touch, yes. We all do.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's Ralph, so I'm not surprised
I
whatsoever.
I don't have like a problem with busty women and things.
Mm-hmm. And I like her as a character, even though she's.
just
I mean,
when-
there's some weird things.
I did like her character, but I don't like where her character was written into
Yeah.
at the end. I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
wonder about fairy rules, like, so Avatar's training fairies, or are they just fairies? Like, I didn't understand that.
So
I don't know that it has an
I
explanation.
got a question for Murda. Have you seen Fritz the Cat?
No.
Okay, yeah, okay. So when it comes to characters like that, when it comes to Ralph, because of Fritz the Cat, I get real nervous with characters like that on screen.
I understand why. I know what happened.
There's a horse in Fritz the Cat that there's a horse scene.
Hippo,
There's a lot. Fritz the Cat is an adult only film for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
Still to this day.
Do not let your kid watch Fritz the fucking Cat.
Yeah, my dad actually said when I was telling him about Animation August, he was like, "Oh, you guys should do Fritz the Cat," and I was like, "Oh God, no! I don't want to dissect that film."
I don't think we could.
Even the dude who wrote the comics, like, really hated that fucking film.
Yeah.
That's why he actually. That's why he. There's actually a reference to that in this movie too, because the dude who did the underground characters for Fritz the Cat killed Fritz the Cat after that movie came out in his comics. He killed him.
Yeah,
killed him off.
That's why I love that little bit right there.
With Fritz, the soldier.
Yes,
yeah.
That was totally a call to what they did to Fritz the Cat. I was like, oh yes, that's why it was my favorite character.
Think was that. Did I read that was Ralph Bakshi voicing Fritz?
Yes, he did voice.
Like this Fritz.
Yeah, this Fritz. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Black Wolf has sent out his assassins to go and stir things up in Montagar, because he is tired of only ruling over the Scorch. Unfortunately, this is kind of one of the reasons for me that the film scores relatively low, is that the primary antagonist doesn't really ever have a good reason for wanting to rule the world.
He's just born a bastard.
He just wants
the
to.
Salty brother.
Yeah, he's just mad all the time, and it's
I gotta
for
agree.
I want to
point
deep messages of this film.
It's a classic. I think it's a classic setup. There's two princes, and like one's good and one's bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Polar opposite.
I completely agree, but I can point out why Black Wolf. I know why Black Wolf was a bad villain. Y'all should have caught on by now. Do you know what he didn't do in this? He didn't
What?
nort a boy.
He didn't nor a boy.
He didn't nort a fucking boy. You
He
gotta nort a
norted. No,
boy.
he norted Eleanor for a second.
See,
He almost
that's a
norted
you gotta nort a boy. You gotta
I
nort a
don't know if I know what
boy.
this means.
her. It's
You got
it's a Kingdom Hearts thing.
Yeah, it's a Kingdom Hearts reference.
Okay.
You gotta.
I mean,
You
I
can't
still
be
don't get
going
it, but
around.
okay.
You can't be going norting around women. Unfortunately, that's not the villain tridecagon. It specifically states you have to nort a boy.
I'll take
All
your
right.
word for it because I don't know what that means.
I will have to share the video on the move. I'll have to share the video.
So we see a very scantily clad Eleanor. She is short and very full figured. Um,
Liked it.
and she's trying to become a fairy.
The
Avatar.
Toriyama-esque fucking Ghibli-esque president.
Yeah, yeah. The president, I guess, of Montegar, he is he's pretty wild
He
in
looks
terms of
cool.
animation. Yeah,
Mhm.
he looks really cool. He's
He
got
does look
like
cool.
a
He's
sweet suit.
very quickly killed though.
Yeah, unfortunately, the assassins that Black Wolf had sent out,
The Necron
Necron.
99,
Necron 99.
which is a name that he uses quite often, actually.
Hmm.
I know he used it in Fire and Ice, at least. I should
Necron.
retract that. Necron, yeah.
That's cool. So Necron 99 comes and kills the president, assassinates him. Um, this robot's mission from Black Wolf is to kill all believers of magic, kind of setting the stage for like I'm going to get rid of any type of magical being other than himself. Um, Avatar, however, after the president's killed, subdues the robot and then reconditions it, and changes its name from Necron 99 to Peace in the hopes that he will bring it. Um, Avatar then learns from the robot that the Dream Machine, um, which is the projector that Black Wolf is using, is his secret weapon to enslave the globe. Um, Something that I have to say is that Avatar at times is apathetic. Um, he's caring in so much as he cares to move the plot along.
Mhm.
So the main protagonist and main antagonist of this film again is just kind of lackluster in terms of motivation for me.
Mhm.
I couldn't discern his relationship with Eleanor. Are they love interest or is Eleanor more of like a
The
daughter?
the
Uh,
They
ending.
banging.
it's
This is
supposed to
jump.
be
They
it's
banging.
supposed to be
Okay.
teacher and
Yeah.
student. It's supposed to be teacher and student with
But then
Avatar.
Oh.
they also banging.
Okay.
Okay, so
But they
there's
also fuck. Yeah.
it's
Alright,
not just me who was confused.
so there is
No.
some university bullshit going on. Okay. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
In Avatar's defense, though, which is the same defense that Buffy the Vampire Slayer uses, is Avatar at this point in time is like over 6,000 years old.
Mm.
You know,
The angel
I mean,
argument.
how?
Hey,
We
I
don't
have
know
problems
how
with
old-
Angel.
We don't know
I
how
have
old
problems with
Eleanor.
Angel.
We don't know how.
I just had to bring it up just because
I,
like I find
Don't
it
get me started.
predatory and
Don't get me
we
gross.
started on
don't
Buffy.
know how old Eleanor is. So
We don't. I have no
it,
idea.
I mean, she
Yeah,
could be of similar age for all we know. Fairy,
Right.
what makes it fairies age differently? For all we know, doesn't seem to
yeah.
age the same.
Yeah, that's true. Um, with finding out about Black Wolf's plan, Avatar, Eleanor, Peace, and the elf warrior Weehawk set out to destroy the projector and save the world from another Holocaust. Do we want to talk about Weehawk?
He's intense.
I
Weehawk is intense, and he
I'm
was, they're the race that I think is supposed to represent like indigenous Americans.
Yeah, I think
I
so
just
too.
I'm just kind of wondering why he had to get cucked at the end like that. That was kind of not cool.
He was never a love interest.
But
No,
still, they didn't have to rub it in his face. They didn't have
I
to.
don't think he
Oh,
cared.
look,
I don't know. He called
look,
her
what
a
are we gonna do?
slut.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
he
He
shamed
did.
her.
There was so there was some pain behind that. I know.
Hmm.
I always think it was anger, not pain.
Yeah.
Anger and pain can be the same
Um,
thing.
then we get to some of the backgrounds that I really like, which I must say on this film is like one of the best parts of this film,
Yes.
like in its entirety. The backdrops and the still frames that are used to like show time passing and or
Hmm.
like distance passing, I feel like are really awesome.
And a
I
fun
I
fact about their horses. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Cool.
I agree. Like most of this movie's strong suits are its visuals, because as anyone would notice, we just went over a bunch of characters and didn't have more than like a sentence or two to say about each of them,
Yeah.
because
Right?
the characters do not have depth.
Yeah,
No.
Weehawk, he screamed. He screamed
None of the
good.
characters really have depth.
He goes, ah!
This is
Yeah!
not and does like starts doing karate out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is not
it's pretty sweet
this
later.
is not a film about character depth and characters.
No, that it's
No.
Bro,
very
getting super
psychedelic.
fucking stoned.
It's almost the perfect film to trip to if it just wasn't for some
If it
buzz
didn't
killing
have
imagery.
some, yeah.
Um, and I think that's also like one of the reasons why none of the characters have depth. No one's really got like great motivations for doing the things that they're doing and all that kind of stuff. Is that in Ralph Bakshi's mind? And just for again, just to drive this point home, he directed, wrote, and produced this film.
Hmm.
Um, this was him being like, "Oh, I gotta dumb it down a little bit, make it for kids." But like most of Ralph Bakshi's work is, it's pretty like if A then B and if B then C. Like
Yeah,
it's not
I don't see how he
generally
was
pretty
gonna.
deep to begin with.
I do not see how he's gonna dumb down his work any more than it possibly could be. He didn't have to dumb it down. He just had to mature it down. That was his problem. He just didn't understand. He
He didn't know.
definitely
He's
didn't
like,
understand.
what?
He
He's
definitely
like,
didn't
this would be
understand.
cool if I was a kid.
This is for families.
It's
Family.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, but fucking
Family
moms are definitely as soon as Eleanor gets on the screen, you best believe there's some moms going, "Let's get the fuck out of this."
Oh yeah,
All right,
there's a
we're
lot of
turning
parents
this
that
off.
like that.
So we'll continue down the plot here. But just on that point, he really did not get like much criticism at all when
Oh,
this originally came out. Like, and it's because it came out as a limited release. Um, Now he
As
did
most art
get a
house
lot of
films do.
pushback in Europe, specifically in Germany.
yeah.
But other than that, he is quoted as saying, "I didn't really get any criticism. People pretty much loved Wizards."
Mm.
Um, so,
Hey, but
eh,
I gotta say, what I know that's the quote from him, but there are some critics that kind of say otherwise.
yeah,
The internet
he
didn't
gets
exist back then,
yeah, and I mean he does get torn apart
not for public use.
later,
Mm.
but like during the time, like it. it was I mean, like I said, it took $2 million to make this film, and they made 9 million off of it, and that's in 1977 money. So
But
whatever
I
that
gotta wonder,
translates to
how did he
now.
market that? Like, did he market this in any? Did he show any of the
I
questionable
didn't look up
imagery
any
in
of
the
the
market?
trailer.
Like, how did he market this? Is my question. Because if he marketed it to be like a family friendly, for a fact they didn't put any of the Nazi imagery in the trailers or anything.
Oh no, I don't think so.
So
No.
there's probably several.
So
Unfortunately, several of those tickets are probably pissed off parents that are like, "Whoa, what the fuck is what's going on here? Why am I? What the fuck is this? What have I been put into?" But it's, they're not gonna call the scene or nothing to ruin their kid's night. So they're like, "Oh fucking,
But it
I'm
was a time when
tricked."
they just when you wouldn't go see it with your kids. You just send your kids
no,
out to go see it.
right, because it's 1977.
Yeah, you don't spend
Um,
time with your kids.
Also, like,
The fuck.
this I I can't, I don't remember
Touche.
when exactly the ratings were, or well, I know that back in the day, like, this would have been a PG movie.
This wouldn't have been if he tried to release
No, no,
this
no.
PG
today.
was
I,
This
I
different.
wouldn't.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not saying today. I'm saying when
I
it
know.
came
I
out,
just
this
want
is
to
a
point that
PG
out.
movie.
I'm just pointing that out. That like yes, the
I've
rating
seen many a
system
PG with
is
titty.
completely broken
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
also think, I mean, kids movies, like kids specific movies weren't such a thing back then as they are now.
Mm.
Like they definitely existed, but
yeah.
kids
I
could
mean,
kind of just watch whatever.
yeah, pretty
Though
much.
honestly, animation was a little different. It's actually really hard for adult animation to be taken seriously because people would just
Right.
see the animation and be like, "That's for kids."
Yep. Thanks, Disney.
Which I don't see
It
Um,
how
wasn't
you
until
could.
'90s
I don't see
really
how
pushed
you
that.
can watch Fritz the Cat and be like, "Yep, that's a kids thing."
Well,
well,
that's why
that's
it's
why. That's
controversial.
why.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So hopping back into the plot here. Um,
The
so
horses had two legs because it was cheaper. That's all I want to get out there.
Oh, that's cool. That is one of my favorite aspects of this film. Um, is the horses, because so many people have horses in this film, and
Mm,
they're just so cute to me. Like, I
they
don't
are.
like, they're just like these big round balls with the with this like
Camel
long,
balls.
like, yeah, like, yeah, they kind of look like camels in a way, but they only have two legs, and so they're kind of like bipedal, and it seems like
Mhm.
it would actually be harder for them to like actually carry something on their back. But they're ridiculously cute.
Don't
And the
skip leg
horses are
day.
just great.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, they don't skip leg day ever. They skip arm day always though.
Ain't got no arms.
So they head out of Montagar, with the hopes of stopping Black Wolf's secret evil plan, to destroy the world. Um, and they travel for some time. We get some more, kind of back and forth between Peace and Eleanor and, Avatar and Weehawk. Um, and we kind of get to know them just a little bit better.
I
There's not
guess.
really much
I
to
guess you could
know.
say that. It's kind of
And then they come,
nonsensical speech that they're doing.
yeah, pretty much. Basically, it's like this. Peace is a strong silent type. Eleanor is, quick-witted and, throws a lot of jabs, friendly jabs, maybe sexual jabs in Avatar's way. Avatar is, wisecracking but apathetic, and Weehawk is, serious about his mission.
Very serious.
Yeah, he's probably the most
Super
serious
theoretical.
character in the entire
Super
film, other
theoretical.
than Blackhawk.
To be
Mhm.
honest, I kind of wish he was the
The
protagonist
protag,
over
yeah.
Avatar. I don't know why. I got more out of Weehawk than I got out of Avatar. Even though Avatar does got a good ass scene. I love this. We can't get into it yet, but it's still.
I really liked Avatar. I thought he was very expressive. I didn't see him as apathetic as
I
more. I saw him more.
I don't know.
That's my take on him.
I saw
Like,
him
I'm
more
not.
I I have to
sarcastic.
be
You know.
honest. His it's mostly his character design. I did not care for it whatsoever. His character design clashed with the rest of the movie.
That's why I like him.
For me,
That he's. Mm.
Yeah, I
particularly,
mean,
I just
I liked that juxtaposition. Like,
And
I
I like
liked
that he
the.
smoked a cigar with his toes.
Yes, I like that too.
I wouldn't have mind if he was just like a character that was a part of the group, you know. But since he was the main character and the main focus, there was too much screen time on him for me. And again,
I personally wish that like Lord of the
I-
Rings was just following Gandalf.
since
He's
we're
cool.
getting to this,
Yeah,
since this point is
that's
coming
fair.
up, I have to state this. Even though this movie is only an hour and 20 minutes long, I felt the length on this one. I definitely there was multiple times where I was like, this scene
I'm not surprised.
wrap up this scene. Oh, this scene you drag it
Yeah,
on to
so-
this scene for a little tad too long. Oh, and that
So for
charge sequence, we'll get into it.
yeah, so for me, this movie doesn't. I don't really feel the length of this movie. Like, I feel like it's fine for what it is.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, it's not the length of the film that's the problem. It's the pacing, because like we spend like in the plot that I've described so far, we spend probably about 10, 15 minutes with all this backstory, right? And then they start their quest 5 minutes after the president is killed.
Yeah.
So like, and 5 minutes later, we're now in a forest inhabited by fairies, and the group is accosted by their leader, Sean. Weehawk realizes
I think you
that
mean Mark
Peace
Hamill.
is missing. Yes, Sean is Mark Hamill, and he looks like Mark Hamill at the time too.
Thank you for pointing that out, because it was just
Yeah.
Mark Hamill. Even
Yeah.
the voice.
Yep, Mark Hamill all the way around. Weehawk realizes that Peace has gone missing when an unseen assassin kills Mark Hamill, Sean, and kidnaps Eleanor. Avatar and Weehawk begin
Sean
to
kinda
search for
deserved it.
Eleanor in the Forbidden Fairy Sanctuary. But Weehawk falls into a chasm and insists that Avatar leave him to find the girl. Avatar finds her. She's captured by fairies, and just as she is about to be killed, we have a long interaction. Eleanor, who I've mentioned previously, is scantily clad, very full figured. She's now in like stone bondage around a bunch of little fairies.
Definitely
Um,
kind of reminded me of King Kong a little bit.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Reverse King Kong.
Yeah, reverse King Kong indeed. One of my favorite scenes in the movie happens here. And Avatar's been training her on how to be a full-fledged fairy. I'm assuming that means some kind of magic. And she starts trying to get out. Avatar hasn't come and saved her. She doesn't know what's going on. And she shakes and shakes and shakes, and then she turns red, and then a red laser beam that conveniently comes from the crotch of her legs shoots
The
out
boots.
and zaps the little beast that they were sending after her.
Which I have to.
She was. They didn't send the
is
beast
that-
after her. She
is-
accidentally made the beast alive.
Oh, okay.
Now I just want to know:
And
are they
she
trying
blasted
to
them
paint
first.
that in a positive light or a negative light? There, that I was conflicted on that scene.
I took it as positive.
I took it as positive as well.
Okay, good, because I
Um,
did not know how to take it. I was like, oh, what's that about?
Yeah, so again, the symbology.
I don't think it was either. I think
What?
it was just. I don't think it was either. I think he was just
think
like,
it was
let's make it
unintentional?
come from her vag.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like he was like, oh well, how am I gonna do this? Oh, okay. Oh well, vagina laser. Yes.
Could have did Quentin Tarantino a solid. Her feet was free. Could have did a foot laser. Come on.
Too
Yeah,
much
he coulda.
fire force.
Too much fire force.
So the laser pops out. That makes the little creature show up. Um, the fairies are trying to tell the king, "Hey, she's clearly like behind this. She killed Sean. All this stuff." And she's like, "What? No, I didn't." And the king's like, "Well, every single creature that's like come through this kingdom has given the king different reports, so he's super conflictive." And that's when Avatar shows up. And he basically is like, "Look, our troubles aren't with you. I get that you're mad because we're in your fairy lair and everything. It's forbidden for us to be here, but we're not gonna like fight or anything." And then someone shoots him in the shoulder with an arrow, which is used to further the point of like, "Hey, we're not going to fight you. We're not trying to fight you. We're not trying to kill anybody. We're just trying to stop Black Wolf." And again, just my own personal take of this, Avatar just seems so defeated.
Mhm.
Like, he just seems so defeated, like while he's trying to
I
like convince the king to let them free, essentially. Like, it doesn't really feel inspired or passionate of like being peaceful or like why they're trying to do what they do. It just kind of, "Look, this is how it is. I ain't never done stuff. I ain't trying to do things, but this is how it is. And you
I
got
don't
two options. You can let us go or you can not. It's up to you, but I'm not going to do anything about it."
I don't want to
Yeah,
bring
I think
down
that
the
was him. That
mood,
was him kind of giving the
but
power to the king, like as a
yeah,
respect.
and I don't want to bring down the mood of it, but he did have a gun. I don't think he was planning to use that gun on Black Wolf.
We're not even to that yet, but all right.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to go ahead and explain that scene?
I mean we're
We'll hop
almost
to the
there.
end of the movie
We're
here.
we're almost there. We're almost there.
but
We literally just
but
have the weird. Don't we just have the weird fucking the tank
well, and I
scene?
wanted before we move on to the king though, I thought there was an important thing to what the king said, and what kind of goes along with like maybe some like other countries that kind of look the other way as the Nazi rise of power was happening in Germany when he said like, oh, we'll let you go, and and we were not gonna support you, but we're not gonna hinder you. We're gonna watch. We're gonna see what happens. I thought it seemed like there was an importance to that scene to me. That though I haven't like fully organized it.
Maybe, but what country would have to be representing?
Poland.
Switzerland.
Just the
There's a couple of
just
other
the
ones
neutral
too.
powers altogether.
Denmark. Well, I mean, basically everyone who like saw, oh, like Germany's just straight like murking other places and absorbing it
Hmm.
into its territory and forcing people into like labor for them.
I just
I
want to
mean,
point out that
Well, I'm not going to
it
usually
do
when it
took the
comes
anything about that.
USA quite a while to get
Hmm.
involved.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
and I
It
just
was
want to
it
point
was
out when
when
it
he went up
comes
against the Russians that it actually
I
became
don't
an
think.
issue.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when it
Hmm.
comes to
Thank
Ralph,
you.
usually his like it's on the note like we would be able to say a for a definitive fact. This is what this is representing, and this is why it's representing this. I just want to point that out. It's like it's hard for me to say I completely agree because I couldn't tell you if that's what he was going for in that moment.
I think it reminds me of that saying that I can't fully remember the one, but it's like, well, when they came for like, those people, I did nothing, and then when they came for those other people, I did
Yeah.
nothing, and then when they came for me, there's no one else left to do anything.
Yep. Yeah, totally. So the king's basically, the king is like, "You know
And
what,
do none of these
we're not going to
people,
do
do none of
anything,
these
but we're not going
fairies
to
have to
help you."
listen to Eleanor? Like, isn't she like the fairy like
She's the
leader?
ruler of Montagar specifically. There's
Okay,
different
Yeah.
countries
okay,
of
okay,
fairies. There's different, yeah, they're split into different countries. The fairies
gotcha.
are.
Um, so the fairy king, instead of executing them as he had originally planned, he teleports Avatar and Eleanor to the top of a snowy mountain. Avatar and Eleanor then resume their journey, and we get some more. Um, talking kind of between them, which I think this kind of highlights the are they teacher student, or are they are they banging a little bit more.
Mhm.
However, Avatar realizes Eleanor's losing strength, and Avatar realizes that they had been walking in circles. Um, this is when Peace, who used to be Necron 99, the red guy, and Weehawk show
Oh
up,
yeah, they had their
and
own little
they
like side
find
quest.
Avatar and Eleanor. Yeah,
Mhm.
But we
they
don't see that. We don't
Peace
get a
We
peek of
Peace
did
and
see
that.
that.
Weehawk were
We
fighting a
did.
We
vicious
did see that.
monster. Yep,
Yeah,
I
yep.
did
Peace
not
and Weehawk were
see.
fighting a monster
I do
in the
not
there's a whole
remember.
scene of
castle.
that. That's how
Uh,
Weehawk like got the trust piece because he
of
didn't trust
Peace,
him
yeah.
before. He assumed he didn't assume it was the elf like the fairies that kidnapped him. He thought peace had something to do with it
I
when
just want to point out this is a wild
Avatar and
movie.
Eleanor disappeared.
Things are
Mhm.
happening at a million miles an hour. It's hard.
Mm.
It's hard to get everything. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, you have two speeds with this film. You have 130 on the back of a motorcycle, or you have 10 in on a regular bicycle.
In a snowy mountain.
Yep, on a snowy mountain. Which is where Peace and Weehawk meet up with Avatar and Eleanor. Together, they, through the power of friendship, they work their way out of the mountains. And that is when Avatar and the others encounter an encamped army elf general who knows Avatar, and this general is preparing to attack Scorch, the Scorch, which is Black Wolf's area, the next day.
Mhm.
Um,
And I forget, but Avatar had like an issue with that. I can't exactly remember the full context. He fucking slugged him when he told him that.
yeah, so Avatar didn't want him to do that because that is all out war.
Yeah.
Avatar. This is where we kind of get a little bit more from Avatar of like, oh, he doesn't like he may be apathetic about a lot of things, but like he doesn't want like open war
Hmm.
between people. Like he's not down with that at all. And
Hmm.
also because he feels responsible for Black Wolf,
Yeah.
get, getting to power essentially, because he
Hmm.
had up till now he had three different occasions to completely end him, and he never did.
Yeah.
Um, So they camp out with them, and that is when Peace is kind of sitting off, staring in the distance, and Eleanor sees him and is like, "Oh, he's lonely. He's probably freaked out. And like, he's like, we're right at the doorstep of the person that ostensibly Peace has worked with, his whole entire sentient
didn't
robot
Black
life."
didn't Black Wolf make
And then that's
didn't Black Wolf make Necron 99? I could have swore he
Yeah.
made him.
yeah,
So yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
this is basically like he's going up against his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Papa.
Eleanor tries to comfort Peace, and that's when a Black Wolf demon shows up. However, Avatar quickly dispatches this demon, and we find out that because he's been reprogrammed by Avatar, Peace is constantly battling all of Black Wolf's programming. So his mind is constantly fighting. And so when Eleanor tried to comfort Peace, Peace wasn't able to hold back the Black Wolf
He was
demons that are in his
distracted.
head.
Hmm.
Got distracted by Eleanor, and so that's when the demon shows up.
Too sexy.
This demon has another effect. One of Black Wolf's battle tanks, which is a Panzer, uh, shows up and destroys their camp that they're in. Um, Eleanor then kills Peace and climbs into the tank as it drives away. So, for first-time viewers, it happens really fast and it's very confusing.
I did not
Yeah.
see anything that
I
happened
was very
whatsoever.
confused.
I
Yeah.
was like, well, what's going on here? Is this like a plot twist that oh, it's not a good one.
Yeah, it's not explained until later by her after the dark elf. When we'll get
And
to
I
that
didn't
scene
even get
too.
that explanation. I didn't even get
I
that.
think you might
It happened
have you
way
might
too
have not been
fast.
paying attention because Eleanor like explicitly says it verbatim.
Yeah.
Like what happened.
She does. While this is happening, we flash back real quick over to Black Wolf, and Black Wolf has a reasonable goth GF.
Oh yes.
Reasonable goth GF is drawn as kind of the opposite of Eleanor. She's mostly
Eleanor.
clothed. Uh, she's mostly clothed. She's not near as like what's a word for it? Animated? Maybe she's more reserved of a person, and she's very pregnant, and she
Still busty though.
Yeah, it's
still busty,
thick.
still busty.
Still got
Yep,
that
still
thick.
busty and thick. Um, and she tells Black Wolf, I am going to be, giving you your first child soon. Um, so I don't understand why
Didn't
you're
she
so
already have a kid in
focused.
her? Didn't she already have a kid in her hand? I could have swore she was holding a kid.
That's at the end of the film. So
Oh, that
he
happened fast.
that's at the end of the film. Yep.
That happened real
So
fast.
yep. So
'Cause we're coming near
she's
the
very
end.
pregnant right now, and she tells what's it called? She tells Black Wolf, why are you so focused on trying to control the world when, like, me and your children will be more than happy with what you have provided with the castle and the scourge and the armies of mutants and all that stuff. She's perfectly content with this
Which
stuff.
is,
Yeah.
except for a couple of flags and a couple of things on the floor, pretty badass castle.
Yeah.
And to which
Gotta redecorate it. Yeah.
and this is kind of like another pretty big a swing and a miss for me here is this could have been a time for Black Wolf to say, look, my mother always looked at me as the weird kid and didn't like me, and I became more and more twisted because I never got the love of a mom. Or everyone always loved Avatar more, so I have to destroy him, and if that means destroying the world, then I could destroy him. This gives a lot of room for Black Wolf to explain why he's doing what he's doing, and instead he gets mad, says she doesn't understand, and storms off.
So
I think
so
he is
what
like
you-
also like, you better give
so-
me a son.
Oh, so,
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
what you are saying, it is what Black Wolf might have tiny like might have felt unwanted, maybe.
Maybe see, that's the thing is I don't know because
maybe
we don't
there's
really ever get to know. He never
No, the only
really.
thing he really says is, "My kingdom's not enough. I want the world."
Yep.
See, maybe
So-
there's
There's
something I
lots
like to
of
call the smoky triad of
I would say the only actual solid explanation of his motives is the fact that when they were born, they were polar opposites, one of absolute good and one of absolute evil. So the only thing you could say of his motivation is that he's hatred incarnate.
Okay, so that's weird behavior. That's weird behavior. That's one. That's smoky triad one. We can assume he had a head injury. Let's just all assume he had a head injury. That's number two. And from what I'm hearing, he felt unwanted. He really felt unwanted. So I'm going to say smoky triad should have saw this coming.
I don't know.
I don't know if
a
he
head-
felt unwanted.
I don't know about a head injury, but something happened to his arms because they're just bones.
Yeah, he's got the
Hey,
coolest
he's
arms in
got
the
a
entire film.
conish-
They're just
he's got a-
bones.
Yeah,
He's got
it's
a conish shaped head, so definitely something squeezed his head a little too tight.
Ooh, the forceps.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
it tracks. Oh, smoky triad.
All right, so Eleanor just drove off, killed Peace, and then jumped into a tank and left. The camp is now destroyed. Avatar and Weehawk then hop on a ship out of nowhere. I think this was just an excuse to show some really cool sea
Fuck,
backgrounds,
those
some really
fucking
cool
ships are so
boats.
goddamn awesome.
Yeah,
Man,
no, they're
the
great.
fucking the art in this, the fucking art is so
One of
goddamn
my favorite.
amazing.
I just have to point that out
Fucking,
because that's like one of my favorite scenes. Is just like of the boats going.
it's like, oh, I want to fucking be able to say, hey, everybody, go watch this, but I fucking can't.
Mm.
So the generals on these ships, he didn't get killed in the camp, miraculously. Um, However, he is leading his elf warriors to a battle. Um, Before the battle, though, Avatar and Weehawk um, make for Black Wolf's castle. The pair split up. Weehawk is trying to track Eleanor, and Avatar is wanting to go after Black Wolf. Um, this is the wait. This is the big wait. This is the calm before the storm, and it's I
Oh.
don't know how long it actually is, but it feels like it's like 15 minutes worth
Oh
of
yeah, just I love that.
This
I
was
Weehawk
my
know.
and
favorite. This was my
Avatar.
favorite part.
Smokey
So
had
so
was getting a little impatient. I know.
so
I
Weehawk
went.
and
I
Are we
went.
all
Avatar
I,
are just
we're
like
on the charging scene now? Are we on the charging scene?
Yeah,
we're
we're just.
yeah, we're
They
right before it.
well, right before is great, but when they actually start charging,
Yeah,
it's
Mhm.
like,
so we get some wackiness, like right before with Avatar and Weehawk, trying to figure out all this stuff. We get to meet Larry the Lizard real quick. Um,
Larry.
yep,
Master King Larry.
Larry's a lot different than Jerry. But anyways,
We thought he was Billy West, but it didn't. He wasn't. It doesn't really
yeah,
work out with the age
yeah.
because he
So
sounds like Stimpy.
they walk up to a bar and what's it called? Weehawk is trying to like get this general to essentially like tell him where Eleanor is or where Black Wolf may be, all this kind of stuff. And this general is has a terrible German accent. Um, Kind of
Yeah,
looks
he
like
might have actually been a Nazi at one point.
yeah,
yeah.
There's a
yeah.
legacy.
There's a few armbands running around and shit, so
Well,
I'm not
they
surprised.
actually do. They talk about it's not just like mutants too. Like they did get some of their army from hell too. So this could definitely be some like SS officer.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
It's what it
we
seems like he's supposed to be.
yeah, we should also say that he is walking out of the bar with a sex worker,
Mhm.
and you know uh, there's a
Not to
lot of
malign
sex
sex
workers
work. No,
portrayed
we don't.
into this into this
We do
film.
not malign sex work here. I just want to state
I'm
that.
not I'm not I'm not maligning anything. This is
no one's
I'm just
maligning.
stating what Ralph Bakshi
You
decided
know,
to show. He decided to
fucking
show all the sex workers with the side that is showing all the Nazi propaganda. He decided to do that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that's what
I
he
just
decided
wanted.
to do.
I just want to point that out. I'm pointing that out now.
Yeah. And then Avatar is nearly delirious without Eleanor, and with Eleanor killing Peace in the fashion that she did. And so he starts blasting flowers all around, all ridiculously, which forces Weehawk to kill the Nazi. The sex worker escapes, and then Larry the lizard also escapes, saying a small bit of dialogue. Um, and then we get to the big wait. All of the troops are all in place. All of the elves are on the beaches, and
The
uh,
rotoscoping.
the
So
Oh,
much
I
rotoscoping
fucking love it.
rotoscoping.
begins.
I love the rotoscoping. It's great.
Mhm.
It's fucking
It is.
amazing. But Oh, that charging
But it also
sequence.
goes on. Yep, and that's where we're at now. That is what is happening in the film. Is all of these different rotoscoped human shapes that Bakshi drew a whole bunch of different art and like random stuff on, or all just everyone's rushing to the beaches to go and fight back the elf army that has shown up. And it is
And I
quite
just
a
want to
long
state,
extended sequence.
I I I was all for it until they started using. You can't get mad at me. They did start reusing shots. They
Yeah, the stock footage. Yeah, from one of the
stuck.
first battles.
So it's like,
Yep.
oh, then that it's like, and also during the rotoscope charge as well. I noticed that they'd loop a couple of
Yeah, yeah.
frames a little bit too long and stuff. It's like, oh, it's you didn't have to do that. We just had to
But
see
the
that one
added
time.
stuff is so good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. It looks amazing. It's just
Mm.
the length of it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't have to be
Mm.
this long. You don't
I think it
wait.
did.
Mm.
I liked it that long.
Yeah.
That definitely was when I was like, oh, that's the length. That's the
Yeah,
length.
That's
and I
when you put the metal on.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that you could, as Murda pointed out to me while this scene was going on, was it would be really cool just to like uh, loop this and have a bunch of like psychedelic music playing, and there is some like pretty like at the time wild music for 1977
Not
playing in the
mixed well though.
background,
There,
and
yeah,
it's
there is,
mixed
but you can
terribly.
bear it. Like I don't know, the levels
Barely
in
hear it.
this movie, you
I
can barely hear it.
Mm.
I have
You need
stated
to be
several
louder.
times I want a version of this that I can trip to. Like that, and that you don't have to cut out any of the rotoscoping scenes. None of that. None of it has any like questionable imagery in it or anything. That'd be
We'll put
great.
red
Um,
ribbon army symbols on them instead.
Yeah, I mean you can just or pentagrams. Just fucking put pentagrams. They're from hell.
yeah, and then we also then right before the actual battle starts, we get some shots of the Luftwaffe, shots of the Blitzkrieg, and essentially the Nazi war machine at its full strength, preparing to engage in this battle. Um, After that, um, the battle commences. They start fighting, and it is very graphic. We see lots of people getting shot
A little bit of
by.
repeat of one of the first battles is
Mhm.
used.
Yep,
Some more stock footage.
yep. Some more stock footage. Um, we get a lot of scenes of like elves. There's one. There's one that always makes me laugh, and it's like this big red like ogre guy's on the ground, and this little elf has a spear, and he's just like he's like he's clearly already dead. He's not moving at all. Only the elf is moving, and he's just like stabbing him like repeatedly on the ground with the
Yes.
spear, just over and over.
That's what I
And
loved about it. Is it
it's
showed
just
like,
zany
mm,
almost.
yeah, I thought in a way like accurately like portrayed, especially in this time of war, like for like World War II, for like what it was kind of like showing just like the chaos of a melee of how it was like sometimes,
Yeah, I
like
mean
when
Yeah,
it was
the
especially like in
battle
the cities.
scenes were like brutally violent,
Mm,
like
uh,
animated, but like fucked up.
yeah,
yeah,
and
it just it portrayed warfare very well, like the horror of war.
Yeah,
on that note too, regardless of the way that America kind of views things, which is violence is always okay, but any sexual imagery is not okay. This is the part that I would not want a child to see, because of just how brutal and intense it is. The music behind it is chilling. It almost becomes a horror film during this huge battle sequence. Um, it's really it's kind of hard to watch at times,
Mm,
and then also it's kind of like I said earlier too. It's kind of zany at times too, of just like
yeah.
the way that decisions were made. to like, oh yeah, they're fighting to the death, but like it's still animated. It's like it's a cartoon, it's funny.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, which
It's
is
a
like pretty,
family picture.
yeah, it's pretty dark. Um,
Pretty cool
so
family.
so Weehawk and Avatar split up. Weehawk is desperately trying to find Eleanor because Weehawk has bonded with Peace, and Avatar is going to go after Black Wolf. Um, we get this scene where Weehawk is walking down a like drawbridge thing and sees Eleanor in the corner standing there, and he drops an S bomb on her.
Slot.
Yeah, and it's really fast and it's very loud. Like every time Weehawk is saying things, he is louder than everyone
Very.
else at
I
all
I mean,
will
times.
I'm
say,
not. I'm not.
at this
I'm
point
not
in
gonna
time,
deny.
it's very unnecessary calling her a slut.
No,
At this point in time.
you know what? I'm gonna give small thing. I'm not gonna deny that it wasn't a gender, like charged by the gender, but you could see in the context like a traitor, like in the of, like the
Yes.
whole thing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, like a
I feel like
treasonous.
if it, like like it would work. It's a little harder because it's
But
Eleanor and
again, that could
she's
be
adorable.
the pain of, oh, I bonded with you and I thought maybe, but oh nope. There could be that pain there.
Or
I didn't ever get that. But...
I think what he was trying to say was you stupid Nazi whore.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, she fucked up.
She fucked up.
Yeah, she did.
But it
She
wasn't
really fucked
her.
up.
It wasn't her apparently.
Yep. So between the time that Eleanor kills Peace and Weehawk confronting Eleanor, it's probably like 15-ish minutes or so, maybe 20. So like we see her kill Peace very quickly, hops into a tank. We don't see her for quite amount of time. We have the very long charge, and then we have Weehawk confronting Eleanor. Eleanor then quickly explains, as Weehawk is actively swinging a sword at her, that Black Wolf had taken control of her mind when she touched Peace.
Yeah, fucking. I couldn't hear Eleanor's explanation over Weehawk's fucking screaming. that it's.
Yeah. Then he does the thing like, oh, why didn't you just tell me that? I'm sorry. When did she have time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was completely
yeah,
screaming through that whole
the
whole
elf,
scene.
the dark elf chick had to, had to stop him.
Yeah,
Stop him
Yep.
from
Oh,
killing him.
yeah,
the
that's
white,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when we see the
and she
baby, I
had the
think,
kid.
right?
She has
Yeah.
the
Yep,
kid now.
Yep. She has the kid at the dawn of the battle, and everyone is correct. She is the one that stops Weehawk from just outright murdering.
And I feel like we can
Eleanor.
assume she might have had something to do with like helping Eleanor escape. Like it's not shown how she gets out, but
I mean, she didn't love Black Wolf. She. I mean,
No.
let's face it.
Mm.
She was
She
hostage.
was most
Yeah.
likely a hostage or just like rich guy. You know.
I mean she's probably
Yeah,
abused,
I mean, if that's what you take from it, I suppose. I mean, I think
she's
she
a
was
mute,
definitely a
in a way.
captive.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying it didn't seem like she was captive to me. It
No, she seemed like she
could've
loved
left.
Black Wolf. She wanted him
I
to
don't.
just
I don't think
focus
she loved
on
it.
them.
Maybe like a possessive kind of love, like, oh, this is my, I own this.
In a way, a queen
figure.
loves a king
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
when they don't really have another
responsibly.
choice.
Yeah,
Right. So all that's going down. Then we get a flash to a very memeable sequence of events. We have Avatar coming up, confronting Black Wolf. Black Wolf declares to Avatar that his magic is superior, that Avatar must surrender and give in to Black Wolf's all-powerful
Yeah,
might.
weirdly, Black Wolf said he didn't want to kill him. He's like, just wants him to surrender. This is kind of a, like, I
See,
guess,
that's
shows
the
like
thing,
maybe
y'all
there's still kind of
if-
like a familial bond.
or the killing Avatar would just end his suffering and making.
Oh
him
yeah,
live
then you can
longer.
watch. Yeah.
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 You watch him tear everything away from him, but then Avatar pulls the good old America.
Mhm.
Yep. So Avatar tells Black Wolf, "Oh, I don't really do magic much anymore, but there was something that mom taught me. And then
When you weren't
Avatar
around.
pulls a pistol out from his sleeve and shoots Black Wolf.
But first by saying one of the badass things too that he said like I'm glad you changed your name, you son of a bitch.
Yep,
Stuff like that.
yep. Yeah, that yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he says.
But
Yeah.
I
didn't
don't
he ever
remember the
state that
exact quote.
he didn't change Black Wolf didn't change his name though. He was always Black Wolf.
Maybe I don't
Maybe he
know.
changed his last name, but we don't really get to
But
know
we
what that
did.
is.
Yeah.
Or maybe his name wasn't Black Wolf. Maybe when they were
I
born,
was
like
going to
Avatar
state
was named Avatar and he was named Bavatar or something like that
why
because he
why
didn't do
did
good
she name
enough.
him Black Wolf? Why it's like she
It
was
was never
setting him up for
specified
failure.
that she
It,
did.
I
it
mean, it's a
Yeah,
pretty
it just
cool
said that
name.
this was.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
it was
sweet
just
name.
said that there's two
yeah,
wizards that were
but
born, and it was Black
one
Wolf
was
and that.
named
They
Avatar
never
and one
like.
was named was Black Wolf. They should
But I
have
Again,
at
said like they
least
never.
actually,
Yeah.
this is confusing.
yeah, they should
Mm-hmm.
have at least stated that he had a name before being called Black Wolf.
Mm-hmm. Voldemort situation, I guess.
And then this is also, although I do love this sequence of events, just for it's outlandish,
Mm-hmm.
and anticlimactic. So it
But
makes it
sort of
kind of
climactic
funny.
too, because he like shoots him a bunch and it's really violent, and then like the whole castle starts crumbling.
Yeah, yeah, and
Oh,
it's kind of weird too because so we have
surprise! Something
Avatar
didn't
who's
bust
like,
out
oh, I
right.
could have ended this so many times, but doesn't. And then, like, instead of actually using his magic, he gives in to what Black Wolf is promoting, which is like technology essentially, and kills him with his own creation.
Sometimes you gotta blast a Hitler. Is the message, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think Bakshi kind of painted himself into a corner of essentially making like Hitler Mark II, and was like, well, I can't really have Avatar just like, oh, well, he should be saved. Like, I use so much Nazi imagery, like, he has to die.
Yeah.
But the choices that were made for the death were outlandish.
Hmm.
Because,
Yeah, you'd
yeah, I mean,
expect a
he
sorcerer
blasted him a
battle.
whole bunch. Yeah, and I wanted to
I
see a
think that was
sorcerer
the
battle.
I think that was the point though. I think that the point
Hmm.
was it, throw everybody off
And
the guard.
they
Everybody's
did show
expecting
that his
this.
magic was weak too when he like Sean just like stopped his little storm so easily too. So it did kind of build up that he wasn't like a good wizard anymore.
Yeah, he's too old for it, right?
Mm.
Like that also gets played upon pretty heavily of like how old
Yeah.
Avatar
I mean,
is.
he's either too old or he just has not been keeping up with it because he seems
Yeah.
apathetic to a lot of things.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. um, so Black Wolf is dead. The castle starts crumbling. Weehawk destroys the projector that's giving us all of the Nazi imagery throughout the entire film. This leaves the mutants leaderless and helpless, and and then we get a long sequence of the Elven army murdering them pretty effectively.
And a lot of people,
Again,
like a lot of the demons, like just ran back to hell too. They just disappeared.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a very quick wrap up that says, "Hey, pretty much everything's nice
every,
and safe."
yep, and this is also where we get some of the coolest still frames in the film, which are just like finding out that it was just one time drawn and then put into it.
A lot of beautiful screensavers and wallpapers.
E- Definitely, we
Yeah.
get
Like,
we get
it's,
Eleanor scantily clad in nice poses. We
if
get Weehawk
Toto wasn't my
showing some
wallpaper,
strength. We get Avatar doing little random things. Um, it's really great. And then with Montagar's safety now secured, Weehawk returns home as its new ruler. Um, and Avatar and Eleanor decide to start their own kingdom elsewhere because they are a love interest.
which did not come out at all until that end scene for me. I was like, "What?
Hmm.
What?"
They're a little flirtatious.
Yeah, they were
throughout,
very
but yeah.
flirtatious, but yeah, I was still confused.
Um,
But yeah, that's it.
That's the
and
We've
end.
done
that's
it.
It ends
that's
kind
the
of
film.
Yeah.
abruptly.
Yep.
Oh yes, it did.
So
Um,
It ended with Larry.
One of the things I would like to point out just about the rotoscoping,
Okay.
um, Bakshi finished this film by paying out of his own pocket, and
Okay.
damn.
as a result, that's why the rotoscope like loops so much,
Yeah.
Ah.
He's
and
not
that's
made
why
of
like
money. You were right,
that
Spooge.
right.
He's
Yep,
not made
and
of
that's
fucking
That's what I'm
also
saying.
money.
why we have like, oh,
But of
here's
course,
this rotoscope battle scene, and then like later when it gets used again, it has like some
I
random drawings on it because
I
he
would
really
have
Godzilla
wanted
does it for a
preferred.
that.
reason.
I would have preferred it's just the looping the scenes that he doesn't like add to, just the looped scenes. Just cut those out. Just cut those out, and I
No.
wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have felt it.
They're mirrored.
But the I,
He mirrored them.
it,
I was down for
Coming
it.
from
I
a
didn't
different
care.
direction.
I didn't care.
some of them weren't mirrored. They some
Yeah,
of
Um,
it
them were
works. It
looped.
works.
Some of them were looped.
But I
Some of them
understand.
weren't
I understand.
mirrored.
I
It just
understand to have.
When
I understand.
you get that unique and creative, it's expensive, and if you gotta repeat some frames,
Mhm.
do what you got to
yeah.
do.
It is
Uh,
something that I kind of give somewhat of a pass to, but it also bothers me like in Godzilla films. But I understand.
exactly. So it's just gonna bother me here too. But of course, I love stuff like Super Sentai, and that's basically what they're made off of. So
Yeah.
and as just one final little bit of information for everybody, and then we can final ratings, all that good stuff. Um, Bakshi did have plans for a sequel called Wizards 2, where he explored the relationships between Avatar and Eleanor, and how Weehawk gets in the way of their relationship.
that would have been
Oh,
really
I
Oh,
bad.
guess he
cock
is.
blocking.
That would have
Yep.
been
I
really
guess
bad.
you're right. Smokey was right.
However, Bakshi was way focused on other projects and never actually had time to work on it. In 2004, Wizards 2, a
Mhm.
graphic novel, went into production that was produced
Ooh.
by Bakshi. The stories are from the Wizards universe, and each story is created by a different artist. In 2008, it was announced that Main Street Pictures would collaborate with Bakshi on a sequel to Wizards. However, as of 2015, Bakshi has stated that he has a script finished and hopes that it will be his next film. This was in 2015, so almost 10 years ago. Um,
I
He ain't getting any younger.
I don't think it's happening. I don't
no.
think it's a movie that he can pitch today. Nobody's
No,
gonna
but that's
even accept that
well,
pitch.
At least the
well
Nazis are
that
gone.
He has to pitch.
Main Street
He
Pictures.
has to do an
Main
elevator pitch, and that's gonna be hard to elevator pitch.
Yeah, I mean it's because it's going to involve like, oh, I want to make a sequel to this, and they're going to be like, what?
Not only is it going to be, I already know if he's exploring a relationship between Avatar and Eleanor, Ralph, he can't help himself. It's going to be X-rated, and it's not going to fly. It's just not gonna fly.
Maybe as an old man, he's calmed down.
Maybe,
I don't
but
know.
I totally see him doing some Weehawk coming in at the wrong moments and some noises happening and some shots that are like, oh, that's not kids. That's not for kids.
So, so do we want to get into ratings and final thoughts?
Yeah.
We do, and I just have one more tiny little fun fact, just because I've been bringing up synchronicities of the movies we've been covering. Ralph Bakshi's next film, which was the 1978 Lord of the Rings animated film,
Classic.
the screenplay was co-written by Peter S. Beagle,
Yep.
yes, from The Last
That's right.
Unicorn.
That's right.
Nice.
That's
It
right.
all ties together. Look at us.
We did it.
Don't even.
Thanks,
Not even planned.
happenstance.
I mean, this is kind of the last unicorn on crack.
Yeah.
To be
In a
honest.
way. In a way.
It has a lot of similarities of just kind of where the art styles go. Not exactly, but just like what they do with the still drawn backgrounds, like with the animation.
A lot of jagged
Mhm.
edges, a lot of
Oh yeah.
sharpness to it, a lot of ugly grit, a lot of grit, especially to this one. This one
Oh, definitely this one,
does
yeah.
it does have
A lot
that
of
grit.
bad postures
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
from
I
the
mean,
So
that's actually
villains. Yeah.
something I really like about
we're
Bakshi is
getting
that
And
he
into
draws so many bodies in different sizes.
a
Mhm.
lot of the soldiers had a lot of love handles, I noticed.
Yep.
They're just
Mhm.
like very like skinny legs and asses, but like love handles.
Yeah, they almost look like little bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can do the final thoughts and ratings. I just wanted to bring
I
up that one.
I'm still torn. I'm still
Ooh,
heavily torn.
do you want to do
I
yours
don't
last?
know. I might have to. Actually, it sounds like I might
Mm.
have to.
All right, let Spooge go first with ratings because he's confident in his rating.
Yeah, I'm a 5 out of 5, and I'll even say like if somehow and I didn't expect it, I feel like I actually got a lot more of a positive response with this movie than I was expecting. But even if like all of us said a 5 out of 5, I would vote against giving it a God tier because there's just like a lot of issues. You know, it could be totally said that it's a little irresponsible maybe with its imagery, but I love it, and also just I have a nostalgia connection with this. Like I saw this like on TV. I feel like when I was like a 10 or 11, just randomly like on Sci-Fi, like a tidbit of it, and then like I couldn't find what it was for like the longest time, maybe until like 17 or 18 when I finally like found and watched it. Because I was it was to the point when I like thought like was that a dream? Like I can't find anything about this, and also because it has a vague title. It's called it's called Wizards, and there's so
Wizards.
many movies that are called Wizards, and The Wizard, and it's not very known, so it's hard to find for me. And then when I found it, it was just like magical and like the perfect amount of like probably the edginess in it too like also attracted me in a way too of just being a little edge lord I was.
Yeah. All
But
I
right.
yeah, it's a 5 out of 5 for me.
All right.
Starfish, do you have a confident rating? Because I am also
I
still a
I do.
little undecided, but I think I know.
Okay. So for me, this film is a solid 3 out of 5. I always have a good time when I do watch it. But it's one of those films that like it's not like I watch this like once a year, or even I watch this once every 3 years. This is a film that I got really big into hard sci-fi in my middle teens, and the person who had been recommending me a lot of the hard sci-fi recommended that I check out this film. And the first time viewing it at 16, I really just did not understand like how this existed. I didn't really know how to take it. It's very like I was very conflicted on like what is even trying to be said. Um, but I have seen it, like 4 or 5 times now, and I can see like what was trying to go for, but
Mhm.
sometimes, there's a lot of really hard swings that just miss, and then there's a couple of like good hits in there. And I think if you're a fan of like animation or like different styles of artwork, this is a great film to like listen to your favorite album and just have on mute and just enjoy the artwork, because there's really, as far as narrative, um, it's just really it's not there. Um,
Mhm.
I think that it could have been there, but it just even going through the plot with everyone tonight and stuff, it's like, well, what about this thing? Oh yeah, there was also this random thing, and then like, it's really all over the place. The pacing is bad. It just is. We but for all of the faults narratively and in terms of like character growth and development, all that kind of stuff, even though it misses really hard there, it hits so good with the way that the world and environment, like you do feel like you are in another world when you're watching this, and that
Mhm.
can be fun. Um,
Yeah.
and also to it borders on anti-Semitic at times with how much Nazi
Yeah.
imagery is in it, um,
Mhm.
and especially given how Bakshi has a history of making thoughts and ideas into caricatures, it does pose the question of, is this anti-Semitic or not?
Mhm.
Um,
I don't
so
I don't see it as I don't see it as that.
So, anyways, for
Mhm.
me, that's why it gets a three. Because I'm a fan of animation and different art styles. Yep.
Sure.
Well, I think I have landed on a 3.5.
Hmm.
Um, there's, I mean, the visuals in
Mhm.
this movie are just so good. This is such a unique movie. Like, there's really nothing else like it or doing the same thing that it's doing, both with
Yeah.
the story and like the visuals. Even though the story is there, but the plot, and the dialogue and the characters are fall very flat. But
Yes.
the story itself, like, it's pretty unique. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know how many other stories use this like sci-fi fantasy mixed with like real world atrocities like
Mhm.
that. Like it's a very one of a kind movie. I don't get
Mhm.
any anti-Semitism. I mean, there definitely is an argument of was this responsible to use this much imagery? But
Mhm.
I don't get anti-Semitism. I think it's very clear that, this is bad. Like when they're
Yeah.
showing it, like this is like the worst thing in the world, pretty much. They say that in the
Mhm.
movie, like then they showed them like the worst thing in the world, and then they started showing the footage.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I mean, I didn't pick up any anti-Semitism. It's always uncomfortable watching that
Mhm.
imagery, but I think it was also supposed to be
Yes.
uncomfortable. Um, so yeah, I mean, I the things I just couldn't look past and give it a higher rating are some of the technical issues with sound levels and mixing. Like some of it was just painful to hear, and like
Yeah.
some of the noises were just so like unclear and so much louder than the other noises and just hurting my ears and brain. So
Yeah.
I couldn't super overlook that. Like I
Mhm.
said, the characters are pretty flat in their motivations and arcs. Pretty fall pretty flat. Um, but yeah, I mean, I did super enjoy it. So it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to give it a three and
Well,
a half, but I think
Still high.
just
it's
yeah, I
still.
guess I guess I'm more of a high rater, so I do I don't want to give it a low rating.
Mhm.
But there's just some things that are like, oof, that's rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that just leaves little old Smokey. It's I I don't know, man. I just don't fucking know.
What's in your heart?
This is
What's in your heart?
To be honest, my heart is saying 5 out of 5.
Wow.
mm,
It's like I love the art that much that I just want to just give every but I'm gonna have to take at least half a point away. I'm gonna have to because I cannot. My fives,
mm,
I want to be able to recommend when it's a 5 out of 5. I want to be able to recommend it,
mm.
and
That's fair.
I strongly want
Dude,
to be able to recommend this. And I
I also
believe
remember the wasn't there? I mean, with like the movie, uh, what was it? I'm trying to think. the serial killer movie we
Man
watched.
Eats
Do you want to
Dog.
give it a question mark? Man Eats Dog.
Man
You,
Eats
you want to
Dog.
give it a question mark?
No, that was the question. The god tier question marks are very special. This isn't a question mark. This is definitely. I'm more conflicted on. Can I? Like, I'm still trying to like. Can I suggest this to people? Is this something like that
I
I
mean,
can
certain
like?
people, sure. If you've
I
had a certain conversation.
I
it's
could just
just
suggest this to more people than I could Man Eats Dog.
it's just that's why I'm so conflicted. It's like I get the imagery is bad. I get the imagery is very can be seen as tasteless, but we have pointed out that it is like pointed out that this is like the worst that it can be, and that he is
Mm,
projecting the horrors of war onto the battlefield. I love
mm,
that imagery. I do believe that that's why I'm taking a point 0.5 away. I do believe there is a cut that didn't need to use the Nazi propaganda and the imagery. That there's a cut that could have
mm.
been made, or that there's a version that doesn't have
A
it, but
special cut.
still, yeah, a special god tier cut, a recommendation cut, a cut that I can recommend, basically. That
Yeah.
Mm.
I
that
mean, I
I
kind of like how like unhinged like he will get. Like just let him do what he wants, and then
Mm.
we can tell him later if it was bad.
Mm.
I like
yeah,
when
But
artists don't feel
mm, yeah.
suppressed.
well, I don't
Yeah.
want to suppress him. I just it's unfortunate that his full creativity makes it almost impossible for me to say, yeah, you should totally go watch this. When
Yeah.
I totally want to suggest this just for the art alone, like there's so much fucking still shots in this that I'm just like, oh, this is so fucking amazing. This is great. This is the kind of art that I love. Is this real fantasy, dark, gritty, sharp edged art style that it's just we will never get anymore. It's like very
Mm.
like kind of taboo now for some fucking reason. You gotta have
It's
everything's gotta
expensive.
be smooth, everything's gotta be round.
Oh yeah, there is kind of a trend too. Yeah, with that. I
Yeah,
It's
noticed.
just
I don't like the bean that exists now in
yeah,
modern animation where everything is bean
Yeah.
shaped.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's everything's just too safe, too clean, too babyized in a way. It's everything. All the corners have had cushions put on them, and it's like, oh, you can't even have sharp edges in your cartoons because you'll
Yeah,
get
you liked that about Last Unicorn too. I remember
yeah,
this.
yeah. I really loved that about Last Unicorn. So I and I gave Last Unicorn a 4.5. Like we said, this is Last Unicorn on crack, and apparently I can dig Last Unicorn being on crack. So yes, my final rating will be a 4.5 out of 5.
Mm.
Well,
Nice.
damn.
Yes, a lot higher than Spooge expected apparently.
Yes.
It's higher than I thought too.
But yeah, I think we did it. Does anybody have anything to add before we do the outro?
I don't.
9.
No, I'm good.
9.
All right, okay. If you've been listening to us this long, thank you so much. Please like, comment, and share the video around. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Oh, do y'all have any sign-offs? I know I have one.
I would watch just a pure Eleanor movie.
um, yeah. Why why you gotta make your protagonist just not care about the world so much, Bakshi? Come on. Come on.
Kind of did it with Fritz
And
the
also,
cat too.
Kinda does it every time too, huh?
mm,
Come on.
Man.
and this made me want to watch heavy metal.
That's fair.
Oh, that's and mine is it's a call to, of course, it's a call back to last podcast. Go fucking hell, Henry Sabrowski, you sons of bitches.
Oh,
Nice.
Go do that.
Go do that.
right now.
All right, bye bye.
Well, now.
Bye.
Oh, damn! Ooh. Oh, Fritz. Fritz, get up, for God's sake, get up! They've killed Fritz! They've killed Fritz! Those lousy, stinking yellow fairies! Those horrible atrocity-filled vermin! They've killed Fritz!